Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. So good to see all of you this weekend. Thank you all for joining me. As you start to log on, let me know where you're joining me from. Again, we talk about this each time we log on, how we have our followers from all over the world. Really cool to see all the locations that you guys are joining us from. It's really cool to see the countries. I think we're up to almost 1,000 cities around the world that we have had people joining us from. So very, very cool to see all the locations that you guys are signing in from and where you're joining us from. Hi, Claire, Marie Berry, good to see you. Thanks for joining us this Saturday. Let us know what city you're joining us from. Also, if you have a cheerleading gym that you are a part of or a school program that you're a part of, tag your school, tag your cheer gym, and give them a shout out. Let them know that you're here. Show them some love. And also tag your friends if you want them to join them below. We'll definitely make sure to answer all your questions so that way you guys are getting the most value out of our live talk today. So we've got some folks from Colorado. I actually used to live in Colorado. I lived in Colorado Springs. So if you're anywhere close to there, I used to live right near Garden of the Gods. It was absolutely beautiful. Happy Hungry Sharks joined us. Welcome. Glad to have you guys. Unfortunately, no, I won't be at the D2 Summit. I wish I could. I live in Texas. Happy Hungry Sharks is in Texas. And so it's hard for me to make it back and forth to Orlando so many weekends in a row. So unfortunately, I won't be making it to D2 Summit. I will be logging in and watching live. So I'm super excited to watch you guys and continue to watch the end of the cheer season. And then we roll into the next one. Claremont, Adelaide, South Australia. I haven't heard of the team, but I have been to Australia before and cannot wait to go back. I've got some friends in Sydney, some friends in Perth. I've got some friends in Mackay up in the Northeast. So definitely love Australia, and we'll be going back hopefully here soon. So let's dive right in. Let's see, Monument close to Springs. So I had a friend that used to live up in Monument that had a practice up there that did a lot of work with the Olympic Committee up there, the Olympic training facility. So very cool. So this week, guys, I want to talk to you about there's something that was going on up in New Jersey. If you heard about the story in New Jersey, give me a thumbs up before I even tell you what it is. Let's see who has heard of this story up in New Jersey about this cheerleading team. If you haven't heard about this story, there was a high school up in a city called East Hanover, New Jersey, and they were in the cheer world, unfortunately, in not the best circumstances. So this team, the headlines were about an all-inclusive cheer team. They were letting everybody that wanted to be on the team to get on the team. And so that obviously upset a lot of people, a lot of the girls and guys, or a lot of the athletes that have been training really hard to get to that point. Were now looking, as like their hard work, was for nothing. And so a lot of athletes were very upset about that. And what had happened was a couple of people had tried out for the team. They didn't make the team. They told their parents. Parents got upset. They contacted the athletic director. And before you knew it, this headline broke that they were having an all-inclusive cheerleading team. And, it sparks a lot of thought, right? It makes you think, some people got mad and said, this is ridiculous. Like, we've worked really hard. We deserve this spot. And then some people on the other side said, that's great. We got more people that are coming into the sport, which means that more people are going to be able to enjoy it. So there are definitely arguments on both sides. And so when you think about it, you really have to kind of take a look from two different points of view. Now, I'm one for everyone having an opportunity to try cheerleading, right? If it wasn't for a random tumbling class at a gymnastics gym around the country, I may have never got into cheerleading myself. I went and took a tumbling class at a gymnastics gym, and just so happened to be a guy that I knew from high school that was teaching it. And I fell in love with tumbling and cheer on a random, situation. I didn't grow up doing cheerleading. I didn't know anything about cheer until my senior year of high school. It was the first time I ever even stepped foot into a cheerleading facility. So I do have a part of me that says, everyone deserves the right to try cheer, to be a part of the sport, at least give it a shot, because without opportunities like that, some of the best cheerleaders may not have ever even stepped into the sport. So, on one half, I have this feeling that I agree, like, yes, everyone should have the opportunity. But then on the other side, you have to look at, it's still a sport that we're trying to grow and we're trying to progress, up the ranks. We're on the verge of being an Olympic sport, right? So how does it look as a sport to us if we're taking, a sport that's about to be in the Olympics and we're saying, it doesn't matter what your qualifications are, everyone's allowed on the team. And so I think that there's, and we had a lot of feedback from people, on some of our posts and things that, it's, everyone should have the opportunity, and I agree. But, I think there's a compromise. There's a compromise that we can make to appease both sides, right? So when it comes to, if you want to be a part of a spirit program, a lot of schools, colleges, high schools, you see a lot more in high schools now. It's getting a lot more popular, but in colleges for sure, there's always a section of students that are like your pet squad, so to say. Like for UF, where I went to school at University of Florida, we had the Rowdy Reptiles, right? So they were at the basketball games and they were at the volleyball games and things of that nature. And they were in the stands, super spirited. I mean, decked out head to toe in the coolest, funniest outfits you've ever seen. They had signs, they had noisemakers, they wore face paint, they had wigs. I mean, it was just really cool. So this group allowed people that wanted to be on like a spirit-based program or a spirit-based group, it allowed them to be members of a large organization that supported the school, supported the team, and they were widely recognized. I mean, it was, you couldn't just come in. I mean, there was a lot of people there, so it was hard to get in, but there was a big group. And so I feel like that is a great opportunity for people that want to be spirited and want to root on the team and things of that nature. That's a great opportunity. But when you're looking at our sport, right, cheerleading as a sport, we can't have an all-inclusive situation that goes on, because it detracts or it devolves the sport, right? We're trying to evolve the sport into a more recognizable, a more respected, and soon-to-be Olympic-level activity. And so we can't take steps towards this de-evolution and say, skill set doesn't matter, we'll put you on a team. Anybody that wants to be on the team can be on the team. And, and the example that I gave in our blog article that we talked about was, let's imagine if every sport for that school then did that, right? So let's say every sport you could be on the basketball team and you could be on the football team and just walk on. You could walk on the baseball team. You could walk on the golf team if they have one, right? So we're allowing people to say, well, I'm just going to be on this, I'm going to be on that, I'm going to be on this. So not only is that detracting or devolving the sport itself, but let's think about this. Let's imagine I want to go to college, right? Let's say I want to go to college, and this person next to me wants to go to college. And we both submit our applications to a particular college. Now, when you're trying to go to college, for those of you, my young athletes that are looking to go to a university, when you go to college, your goal is to make yourself stand out to these recruiters. I got these grades, I did these after-school activities or these extracurriculars, I volunteered with these organizations, I'm involved with these organizations, I did, this, and this. That's what schools want to see. They want to see us stand out above the rest, right? So let's imagine you and this other person are standing side by side. On paper, grade-wise and things like that, you've got all the same things, right? You've got, the same GPA, you've got the same activities outside of school, all these things. And then me, from my school, I was a legitimate varsity cheerleader. We competed. We did all these things. We worked really hard to earn the right to say we're cheerleaders. And then on this side, you've got somebody that walked onto a team, all-inclusive, didn't have to work really that hard for it, and they were on a team. And they may have just walked onto the baseball team too, or they walked onto the tennis team or whatever, because it was all-inclusive. So now you've got two people, one that did a lot more work to earn that description, and one that literally just walked on, and now we're padding this person's application. Now all of a sudden, this candidate looks a whole lot better on paper than you do. And so when we start to give people, this all-inclusive mindset without necessarily having to earn it, then it devalues not only the activities, but it also gives a false facade of that person. And that, and going forward, we don't want to teach this person that if you want to do it, you don't have to work that hard for it. You just sign up, because that's unfortunately not how life works. And so when it comes to these situations, I always fall back on, if you want something, you got to work harder. You got to earn it, right? So it doesn't mean it has to be hard, because there's, you can work smarter, not harder. But ultimately, if you're going to be on a team that has a standard, we should maintain the standard and not drop it to make it an all-inclusive thing for other people. That's just my opinion. But I feel like when we start to lower standards, it's much bigger than just cheerleading. If we say, I'm going to lower the standard to get more people on the squad, to keep people happy, honestly, that really, it's setting our young people up for issues down the line in life. When we get into a job, you're in a career and you want to advance and you want to, you want to move up in your job, and your whole life, people have said, yeah. If you want that, we'll just, it's everybody gets it. But when you get into the real world, you can't just walk into your boss's office and go, hey, I think I should get more money. I saw that guy has more money than I do on his paycheck, so I should have that too, because it's an all-inclusive thing. And that's not how life works, unfortunately. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. So we want to make sure that we're setting, if we're coaches and parents, we want to make sure we're setting these athletes up not only just for the sport, but also for life, right? We're building adults through cheer and using cheerleading as a piece of growth and maturity. And as athletes, I want you guys to recognize that if you want something, work for it. And that if someone else, is getting it and it's an all-inclusive thing, it's okay to be upset about that. That's perfectly fine. Now, the goal is not to, chastise these people. It's just to say, we don't want to take you down. We just want to maintain the integrity of what's important to us. So it's not a matter of bashing people and saying you don't deserve to be here. It's not like that at all. What's important, or the point we're trying to make, is we don't want to devalue or devolve our sport because there were people that weren't, qualified to make a team. And so, as we fast forward and this story evolves, the schools made a statement about the cheer team, and that, their response was that it got blown out of proportion and that it wasn't truly what the headline said, but there were actually 3 tiers of team, the black, gold, and white, that when a person tries out for a team, they're placed on any one of those teams, and that there are certain teams that do this and certain, almost like a varsity JV type thing, which is fine. I mean, every program for the most part will have, if you're a school program, will have some sort of varsity or JV, a higher and a lower level. Some may have more perks than the others, but, it's hard to tell if that was just a rebuttal, because they did catch a lot of negative attention from around the country. People were emailing and messaging and things like that. But in any light, no matter the circumstance, and if it does turn out that this was blown out of proportion, it does bring up that good topic to just discuss, right? To have out in the open that as a sport, we should not devalue or lower standards to be more inclusive. We should keep our standards high, but allow people inclusivity into the sport to try, and being all inclusive to let people try, but then earn their spots on a specific team by being good enough to be on that team. Not only is it going to keep the sport high value and respected, but it's also going to evolve the person to realize, I've got to work for this. It's worth working for. It's worth being good at and investing time and energy into, so that I can be good enough to go here. And the amount of maturity that takes, and the hard work and the dedication, is going to transfer much further into life and be a much more valuable piece of this person's development than to just say, hey, if you want to do it, just go do it. It's not that hard to do. So thank you guys for joining me. Let's take it. Does anybody have any questions? I did see a couple of questions earlier. I want to make sure that we answer all of your questions before you go. Claire says, I think everyone should have the opportunity to try out, because this is my first year cheerleading and I can already do a back handspring right. That's great. Absolutely. Just like we talked about, everyone should have an opportunity to do the sport. I totally agree. But when it comes to being put on a team, we shouldn't devalue the standards for our team, right? So for instance, small example, when I cheered at Florida, and we talked about this before, the minimum requirement for tumbling was a standing back tuck. you had to have a standing back tuck. Now, let's say if we had a bunch of people come out and a lot of people got upset that they didn't have a back tuck and they wanted to be on the team. Well, how fair is it to the people that worked to get a back tuck so that they could make that team to then say, meh, you don't need it anymore. It's no big deal. This person can be right on. So I agree that we should all have the opportunity, but I think that when we set a standard for what for what a program feels is their minimum requirement to be on that particular team, we shouldn't alter that to allow people who haven't reached that standard just because, for lack of a better term, just because they're upset. Like, I get it. People get upset in life, and that's honestly part of life, is that things aren't always going to go your way. So we have to accept that, period. So yeah, I think everybody should have the opportunity, but I think that we should keep our standards as high as they are. Let's see. Any other questions? Okay. I see no other questions. If you do have a question that comes up, type it below. We'll still answer all of our questions. A couple of other things coming up. We wrapped up Summit this past week. D2 Summit is coming up, so we're almost at the end of our season for cheer. A lot of people are already starting to go into tryouts, so want to wish everybody luck when it comes to tryouts that are happening either now or coming up soon. Wish you the best of luck with your tryouts. If you have any questions or things that I can help you with as you roll into your tryout, let me know. Website has been going through some work now. We're adding a lot of stuff for you guys. Currently in the works right now is our second ebook, our second conditioning manual. This is going to be a stunt strong manual. So this is going to be geared towards getting people stronger so that stunting is a lot easier. This one is going to be can be used by guys or girls. It's geared a little bit more towards the guys, only because we've had a lot of people that have sent in videos with partner stunting and hoping to get us to clean up some of their partner stunting. So this manual is going to be focused a lot on strength building for partner stunting, but you will absolutely be able to use the workouts that are in this manual as well. So don't think that that there won't be anything that you can use, but you definitely be able to use this too. And then after this, we're going to have the next one is going to be flyer specific strengthening. So it's going to be workouts that will be geared just towards our ladies. Sorry guys, this one's going to be for the ladies only. And it will be a specific manual on how you can become a stronger flyer. We got some amazing things coming down the line, guys, with regards to nutrition, talking about the proper and best nutrition for cheer athletes, different times of the year, talking about nutrition around competition season, nutrition during like actual competitions, like what's the best way to prepare food and supplement wise for competition day, post-comp, everything. We got all this stuff is coming for you guys. So excited to get it to you. We had a question. Yes, I agree. I have a question. What do you think about co-ed cheer teams recruiting bigger guys with no experience? Which year for? Great question. So the question is, if you didn't hear it, was what is our opinion on recruiting really big guys onto a team for stunting? Honestly, that's how most programs end up getting new guys, especially new programs. They will find a big guy that can throw a girl in the air and is good at it, right? So, for instance, one of the guys I cheered with, his name was Jordan Greenberg. Jordan was a weightlifter and a football player, and this is not a joke. I was driving around campus one day during the summer, and Jordan was a freshman, and I was going into my senior year. I saw Jordan standing outside of a dorm, and he was unloading a U-Haul, and he was just this massive, muscular guy. And I'm like, that guy needs to be a cheerleader. So I whipped my truck over, and I talked to his parents first, and I said, is that your son, that real strong-looking guy? They're like, yes, that's our son, Jordan. And I said, when he comes back out, do you mind if I talk to him? I cheer on the cheerleading team, and I'd like to talk to him. And they laughed a little bit, and they said, yeah, sure. So Jordan comes back out, big, muscular guy. I said, Jordan, my name's Travis. I'm a senior here at UF. I'm on the cheerleading team, and I would love if you would come with me when you get done unloading today. We have an open stunt. I'd love you to come and just check it out. I know it seems weird. There's a lot of really pretty girls, and I'm sure you'd fit right in. And so Jordan came over, and his first day, we introduced him to the team, and he tried a couple of stunts. And the guy was it was his second calling, was cheerleading. And Jordan, fast forward, ended up becoming the captain of the team, was one of the best guys that was there through his tenure at UF, and was absolutely amazing. He helped teach a lot of younger guys too. So as far as like big guys coming in for stunting, that's honestly how a lot of guys get into cheer in the first place. So, and I think I understand a little bit about, deeper into the question of what you're asking is these guys that have never cheered before and all of a sudden they come in with not a lot of experience and all of a sudden they're put on the team. I agree that I see the point you're making, but you got to remember, we're not lowering a standard to get them on, right? The standard stays the same. They just happen to be able to meet that standard right off the bat. So, Jordan had never stunted before in his life. He'd never thrown a person in the air. And his first day, he was doing toss extensions. It just worked out for him that he was good at it. He did weightlifting, right? So he lifted weights and he was used to holding weights overhead and throwing things up. And so for him, you give him a person and it was just like a living weight. And he threw it up and caught it just like he did anything else. So when it comes to that, like, yes, I agree. It's a little bit different for a guy, especially bringing a big guy in. You say, hey, you've never done this before, but try it. And they're good. They're still meeting the standard that the team has set. They just happen to get to it a whole lot sooner. So I think that's perfectly fine. Do you feel the same way as far as working to earn your spot? So yeah, just kind of as a follow-up question. Yeah, again, they earn the spot. They just happen to be able to do the skill sooner than some people. Great question. Okay, I will let you guys go. Sorry to keep you so long. Thank you so much for joining me on this Saturday. I know you could be doing anything anywhere else, but you took time out of your day to come and hang out with me. So I really, truly appreciate it. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend. For those of you that are relaxing and for those of you that are still working on cheer stuff, good luck for tryouts coming up, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.